Hi people, this is my video on a Cameleon Oiler chain oiler installation on my O2 VFR800. I'm making this video for two reasons. One, to show you how I've mounted it, which I think is a nice clean installation. Secondly, how to program it, because programming this thing, the information available today, both from Cameleon Oiler themselves and the various YouTube videos, are really lacking. They don't explain what the colours mean on the light here. Anyway, so installation wise, it's strapped to the subframe. This is just a temporary zip tie. I'll actually redo these so the blocks are at the back, so you can't actually see this lump here. Temporarily, I also have the power cable just running directly into a battery, so I can prime this without having the bike ignition turned on and flattening the battery. So installation wise, I have run the flexible hose, which is the outlet for this, down here behind my brake hoses around the back, underneath and through down to the rigid hose. The rigid hose is bolted, you can't really see it, there to the existing bolt which holds down the chain guide at the back. Then it comes down behind this piece of plastic where I've also bolted it here with the clips provided behind the guard mount. And then I'm actually directing it down there about 1 inch above the chain. Cutting this thing to length is tricky. Best thing to use is a hacksaw blade, because what it is a solid piece of bar steel, which is soft grade steel, with a fairly loose fitting rubber sheath over it. And what happens is the oil travels down the inside of that rubber sheath and over the bar, and then reaches the actual chain. So that bar is just there to make the chain, the actual hose rigid. Now for the oil reservoir. The oil reservoir on the Cameleon Oiler is basically a hose, and you can see I've mounted it here. The hose goes up into the ducktail, in here, underneath, all the way out temporarily, underneath the crossbar here, up and around. And this lets me have this jammed in there. Apparently, if you fill that all the way to the top, it can be good for up to 10,000 kilometers. Now for programming. Okay, so programming. When you activate this, when it receives power, you get 3 seconds to press a small button on the front, which is right about there, if you can just see that. You might see a bit of light. There's a button there on the front. When you press that button, the colours start to cycle. So what I'll do is, I'll activate power on my battery, little cheap adapter here to get power. Okay, let's have a look. Tap it. Okay, so now what's happening is it's colour cycling. So this is just letting you choose a colour, any colour, that you would like to indicate when the oiling is activated. So I'm going to choose green, green for go. When green comes up, I'm going to hold the button down. I'm going to hold it down now for 30 seconds for the purposes of priming. And what this is telling me is that when the oiler is enabled and allowing oil to flow through it, it will stay open for 30 seconds. And now, let's just say it's 30 seconds, now let go. Now it'll colour cycle again. We're going to pick a colour that indicates it is not oiling, or the delay colour. Let's pick red to match my bike. Just a tap. So now what's happening is that the light is green. It will allow oil to pass through it for 30 seconds. And when that time limit has run out, it will go back to the other colour I chose, which is red. And it will wait for a fixed amount of time, which is 3 minutes. You can't change this delay. The only thing you can change is when the delay expires, the 3 minute delay expires, how many seconds you want the oiler to be open to oil for. Obviously I've just installed this. There's obviously no oil in the actual pipe yet. So it can take, apparently, with the stock oil, which is 190 SAE oil, yeah, SAE 190 grade oil, it can take up to an hour for the oil to flow through all the way down through this tube at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's winter here in Australia right now, even though it's sunny. So it'll take a while. I think it'll take quite a while for the oil to come through. I suppose you could get aggressive and put a vacuum hose on it, but maybe it might cause a bit of damage. Anyway, that should be a pretty decent explanation of a installation guide for this and programming. Final thoughts. When I'm finished with this, what I will do is I will take this power cable and mount it up. If you didn't have a relay, I would tap into the brake light hose, brake light line, which would allow it to be active whenever the bike is turned on. However, I happen to have a relay fitted, shortly to be replaced by a fuse block. That's F-U-Z-E block. Have a look for that on the internet, to ensure that whenever the bike is on, I have a dedicated fused 2-amp circuit to power my Cameleon Oiler. Currently, all my accessories are not fused. That includes my power commander and my auto tune, so there's a slight risk there that if anything failed in them, I could actually burn up the wires. Anyway, that should be pretty much everything you need to know. Well, it's been about an hour since I fitted my Cameleon Oiler, and you can now see it's starting to drip oil on the floor. That's good. So what I'm going to do now is reprogram it to 3 seconds. I'm actually not using zip ties. I'm actually using 3M dual lock at the moment. I'll see how that goes. I think it looks pretty good. 3M dual lock is basically the Velcro stuff which sticks to itself. It's very strong. I'm using that to hold my auto tune down as well. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to turn the power on here and program this for street riding. So let's quickly have a look at the manual, and if you look closely it says things like touring. If it's sunny, 3 seconds. If it's raining, 7. So it's winter here, so I'm going to sort of split the difference and go with 5 seconds. As you can see, if you go into sport, they say 5 seconds in sunny conditions, and if you're looking at trail or off-road, it's basically 7 seconds in sunny conditions and 13 seconds in wet weather. In other words, lots of oil if you're off-road. So I'm going to go with 5 seconds because what I mainly do with my bike is mainly ride to work. Depressing, but it's better than driving a car. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll turn it on and set it to 5 seconds with green light for oiling and red light for not. So green go, red stop. Alright, here comes the power. I'm going to tap it, wait for red, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait for red. And done. Oiling. Not oiling. And after 3 minutes that'll cycle through again. Lovely jubbly.